Okay, so at this stage in the class, we have moved through writing our script, conceiving our story, revising our script. You guys are going to be revising the script, locking the script, storyboard, and shot listing, which is what you're doing for the Thanksgiving break. And when we return after Thanksgiving, our entire month of December, which is 3 weeks or 2 weeks or so that we have, we are going to be in the pre-production. We're going to complete the pre-production stage. So this entire period for this class has all been pre-production. Everything we've been doing have been the rules and the roles and the responsibilities of the writer and the producer and the director, who are all part of the pre-production team. When we move into our final stages of pre-production, we have a budget, we have a general budget that's been greenlit. We are now going to bring in positions such as the unit production manager, the line producer, and the assistant director. There are tasks for each one of those positions to do now in pre-production. In an independent film, a short film, small corporate videos, many times the producer is going to do the task that a line producer would do or that an AD would do. So what you guys are learning, you're going to be able to apply, whether you end up working as a PA and moving up to being a production manager, production coordinator, or a line producer, or whether you move up to being an assistant director, or whether you decide to run your own media company and do corporate videos, or if you are hired by a small media company and help them and work for them in their corporate videos. So what we're learning is all different tracks throughout the industry, because these processes are the same. So once we have locked our script, we're going to do the script breakdown. In the course, the storyboard and the shot listing is project 4. So we're now moving on to project 5. So if you open the project 5, you don't have to do it right now in class, but when you get home, the material you'll find that we're covering in class now is in the project 5 folder, pre-production book. The first document is film scheduling. The film scheduling document covers what we talked about in last class and what we're going to talk about in this class and the classes moving forward to the end of the semester. So we talked last class about locking the script, so we know what that entails. We're putting the scene numbers on there. I didn't mention in last class, but we put the page numbers on, which is very simple. The page numbers in Celtics are automatically applied when you print the document. The same thing in final draft. The page number does not appear on the very first page of the script. It starts appearing on the second page of the script, and it's always in the right top margin of the script. So those are the things we talked about, the revision colors that we go through. Now we're going to talk about how we actually begin breaking down the script. So we're going to do breakdowns right now today in class. The best way to learn this is to actually do it. ADs, which are the standard position that will do this role on a feature film set and on a television show, they actually go through a very extensive training program. The New York has a DGA training program, which you're in for about 2 years. And so you actually learn how to do this by following and shadowing other people who do it. When you work in media content, so you're doing corporate videos, or you're doing web material for a particular company's website, you're also going to learn by training under someone else and learning how to do it. So the best way for us to do that in class and create that real world experience is for us to actually sit down and do it. The first thing that we want to do, so each one of you will need, these are the tools of the AD, or of the pre-production process when we begin breaking down the script. I want all of you to notice that this is a script excerpt from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And this is the cover page for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Just take a look at it and you'll actually see the dates of the revisions for that script. So the script was locked in December. And you'll see where it says production script or shooting script, and it has the December date, or maybe it's a November date. November. Then you'll see where it says blue revision. So that first version, like we said in last class, is white. Then the next version is blue, and you'll see it going in order, pink and so on. Next to each one of those revisions is also the date that revision was published. So in November was when it was locked. December was when they published another version of it. And then so on. They began shooting on that they may have begun shooting somewhere in the pink or blue version. So even though you have new versions coming out, production's already taken off. And those colors are what we're going to follow. You see how they put the most recent version at the top. So it goes from the bottom to the top. That's what goes on your front page. That also is included in your footer header. The footer header of your script is also going to say white version. What we did in the last class where we labeled the version, that puts it in the footer header for Celtics. So when we in class opened up Celtics and we actually wrote shooting dash white, that text is now going to be, Celtics will automatically put it on the cover page, and Celtics will automatically populate it into the footer, into the header. Everything's in the header. So, now once we've done it, yes, Eden?
I'm sorry. Is the shooting draft in different draft than, say, the blue revision right here, or is it the same one?
It's a different version.
Okay, so they edited the blue one.
They edited the white one. They edited the shooting one. When they edited the shooting one, they had to publish it so that we would all see the edit. So the first script that was sent out was the shooting version in November. Every person in the crew, all the department heads received the shooting script.
Okay.
Then they made changes. They now need to publish those changes.
So
They
it's the same
publish
as the
them
white one.
and call it the blue script.
Okay.
Yep,
So each time a script changes color, it gets published over again?
that's correct.
Okay.
And redistributed
Right.
to all the department heads. And the department heads decide who from their department needs to read it. Yes.
Is that common more often than not, that they'll revise the script like
Yes.
5, 6, 7 times during version?
Usually about 2 to 3 times
Okay.
is standard. When you get into 5, 6, 7, then there's just either a lot of work. It could be a sign that the project is getting unwieldy, that they're not really confident about certain story elements. This is a really strong script, and it had a strong concept to begin with. But Charlie Kaufman said the logistics of it were really difficult, trying to figure out exactly how you forget your memory, you remember your memory, what order some of the scenes should take place in. Before this, because there's also an example of what, I use this script to show also an example of revising, because he has another version of the script that's not the shooting script, that begins in the future, where one of the characters is an old woman and she's telling the story. So that wasn't locked. That version of the script was never locked, so it never went to production. So changes were made where producers, and they all sat, and Michelle Gondry, the director, sat with Charlie, and Charlie even said, I'm not sure, I don't know how this works. And then they ended up with their shooting script. So you'll see the changes between the shooting script and the version are less large. They're the way we said when we outlined, they're not changing locations, they're not changing characters now. Whereas you can see, to have a character who's older, that's an entire casting choice. You know, we now need to cast for someone who's older. We need to art date the future. You know, there's a whole thing that comes along with that. So these changes that happen now are fairly minor compared to those large changes. And if you remember in last class, we said we do not change locations at this point, and we do not change characters at this point in a locked script. So now that we have the locked script, so this is the script that you give to the AD. If you're producing this as a corporate video, this is a script you give yourself. You print out your final script. You call it locked, no more changes. Minor changes will happen, and that'll be the blue version, the pink version, and so on. So now we need to actually count out the scenes. How many pages per scene are we doing? This is where we're on the step of page count. So I did skip. So the first step is you just read the script. So as an AD, if you're hired on, you weren't here when they were writing it. You weren't here when they were developing it. You want to just take the script and read it. Absolutely, just do a straight read, and everyone does that. The DP, the sound designer, the art director, the production manager, the line producer, the editor, everyone just reads the script. Then as the AD, you then go into breaking down the script. So you've read the script. Now you're going to break down the script. The first thing you want to do is get a page count for each scene. You want to know how many pages each and every scene happens on. How many pages it takes to tell that scene. The way we do that is, as you notice, on page 1 of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, scene 1 isn't even a full page. Scene 2 is not a full page. Scene 3 is not a scene page, and neither is scene 4. Scene 5 crosses off of page 1, and you guys can see it picks up on your page 2. So how do we exactly count the pages of scenes that aren't even crossing pages? We have to count them in fractions. What fraction of this page is scene 1? So we're actually physically going to break this page down into fractions. It is standard that we break it into 8 parts. And that may come from that it's 8 inches. that the page is 8 by 11. So the way we do this, and this is the way first time ADs did this back in the early 1900s, is you fold the page in half. So I want everyone right now to take script page 1 and fold it in half. We've just divided it into a half, right? We're going to fold it again. Now we've divided it into fourths. We will fold it one more time. So you fold it 3 times. This third time, we're dividing it into 8ths. You do this with every single page of the script. So if you have a 120-page script, you're doing this 120 times. There is software that now exists that will count your pages for you. So you simply export your script from Final Draft. Right now, Celtics doesn't have the export. You export from Final Draft and you import it into a software called EP Scheduling or Movie Magic Scheduling. When you import the script, the exported script, it's a particular file type. When you import that into EP Scheduling, you will then call up a scene and say, software, tell me how many pages it is. And it will say it's 1/8 of a page. Well, that scene is 1/8 of a page. So you don't have to do this anymore. However, that software costs $500. So people who have larger budgets don't have to do that anymore. Those of us who don't have large budgets are still folding our papers.
Every single.
Yes. But those of us who don't have large budgets are usually shooting short work. We're either shooting a short film or we're shooting a corporate video in which it's 20 pages, if it's even that long. So it does make up for itself. All right, so now unfold your paper. Now throughout the time of using this paper, because you're going to take this script and put it into a production binder, so these creases are going to flatten out. So the next step that you do is you actually will pencil in the creases. Now this is the one thing that we do need a ruler or straight edge. If you want, go ahead and fold your second page and use it as your straight edge. So fold your second page 3 times, and then that'll be the best straight edge that you can use. So again, we fold it once in half. We fold it again in fourths. And the third time we fold it in 8ths. This time, don't unfold it. Use it as your straight edge so that you can pencil in the creases on your first sheet of paper. This is just so that you keep your pencil straight. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your first paper and you're just going to lie the second one against that crease and use your pencil to just shade in where that crease exists. You then have a page that looks like this. It has 8 lines on it, or maybe 7 lines, divided into 8 sections. Again, you do this with all the pages of the script. So in corporate video, where you might have a 5-page script, you may do this on 5 pages of the script. This is one of the advantages of, well, I'll get to the end and then I'll say what the advantage is. Now you'll notice on the bottom of your first page, I've written in ink the transitions are missing. It's the one incorrect formatting issue with this script is that our transitions are missing. Because our transitions are missing, the timing of this page is a little bit off. Remember how we said when we began writing screenplays that it's a page a minute? So this paging is a little bit off. So when we count our eighths of a page, we'll have a little bit of funky things happening. So now that we've penciled in our sections, we can count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sections on this page. For scene 1, we now want to count how many pages is scene 1. We start with that top space. Even though a lot of that is white, we count that. So we go 1, 2, 3. We are now at the end. With my finger in the third section, I'm at the end of scene 1. So scene 1 is 3/8 of a page. I write 3/8 of a page right in the right margin next to the scene number where it says number 1. Three eighths as a fraction.
Okay, yeah.
3/8. Now remember, if you are directing this, you've already taken your script and on the left side of the margin you filled in your coverage. So you have wide shot and arrow and medium shot and arrow. This is why it actually is convention which side of the page you put certain notes in. So your coverage notes all go here and your page count notes all go here. So it's particular. You must be specific. So that as you are marking up this page, all your handwritten notes are clear every single time you pick up, because all this is going to start to go into a binder. And this script is going to become your Bible. And all of your notes you put on it, you want to be able to differentiate them and not confuse them. So we don't have to squeeze in this small number over here where we've got wide shot and medium shot written. Now we're going to do that for all of the scenes. So for scene 2, how many eighths of a page is scene 2? Max?
2/8.
That's correct. Right, so you see that, Ralph, where you get 2. So we count 1, 2, and next to the number 2, you write 2/8.
I see, yeah. Well, even though this is going into Joe, we got the, okay.
Right. Now part of this, the way we see the third scene, where it's got a little bit of the exterior sitting up into that other section of the page, that's because we're missing our transitions. So it's not spaced out properly on the page. So we're just going to go ahead and count the scene 3 and scene 4 are each just 1/8 of a page. They're not spaced correctly because we're missing our transitions. So next to the number 3, on the right side, you're going to write 1/8, and then next to the number 4, you'll write 1/8. So it should look like this. Now for number 5, we can count. We've got 1, 2. 5 keeps going on to the next page. So we'll unfold our page 2, and we'll keep counting down. So Allison, when you unfold, oh well, you know what? Let's take this in stages. So just hold on while I catch up and fold my page 2. Okay, so when we look at scene 5, we've counted 1, 2 from page 1. We keep on counting. We do count this space up here, the very first section. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What I typically do is I go ahead and write 8/8 the moment I got to 8. Right there, right in the margin, in the section that was my 8/8. So I just write 8/8 right here. Now I go back to my scene number. Next to my scene number where it says 5, my page count for scene 5 is 1. It's 1 page.
Wait a minute. You say a scene count for page 5 is 1/8, I mean, yeah, 1/8, but, so why we got the 8/8 there?
Nope, it's one. It's not an eighth, it's one page. The reason that it's one page is because 8/8 makes a page. Even in fractions, when we reduce 8/8, that reduces to a whole. So the reason that I write as I count, when I get to an eighth, if this scene had continued, I would write 8/8 here and I'd start over again. Because pretend this scene continues. Pretend it doesn't say 6 right here. Say it keeps going. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I hit another 8, I write 8/8. If I go 1, 2, 3, and now I am at scene 6, then I know I go back and see how many times I wrote 8/8. I wrote 8/8 twice. So I have 2 pages. Then I counted out 3 more. So I have 2 and 3/8 of a page for that scene. So I'll say it again, yeah. So if I'm counting a script, if I'm counting a scene, so let's say this did not say 6 right here. Let's say this scene kept going on. And let's say on my 3rd page, the scene continues to go on. So as I count the scene, so on my first page I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The scene keeps going on. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there on that 3rd page, again I write 8/8. And if the scene keeps going, I keep counting. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm in scene 6. So I have 3 sections that I counted. I look back on that entire scene. That entire scene hit 8/8 of a page on the 2nd, and it's hit 8/8 of a page on the 3rd. So I've got 2 pages, and then my remaining 3 sections. So I've got 2 and 3/8 of a page. I go back to the scene number. So where that scene number is next to 5, I would then write 2 and 3/8 of a page. So I'd write the fraction, a large 2, and I'd write a small 3 and a small 8 separated by a line. Yes, Ada.
So basically I put 8/8 here and put a 1/5 here.
Right, because that's how it is in this script.
Okay.
In this script, our scene 5 does stop at 8/8. So I write the number 1 next to the 5. But in a scenario where oftentimes your scenes are going to be, if we remember in Social Network, the first script that we read in class, that first dialogue's 9 page went over page 1 to page 9. When we break down and count it, it's probably somewhere about 8/8 of a page. Probably 8 1/8 of a page or something. Okay? So does everyone understand how you'll count more than 1 page per scene? Got it. All right. So that's how we do page count. That's the first thing we're going to do when we go to break down a script. So we've read the script entirely, just reading it. It should take about 2 to 3 hours to read a screenplay. Yes,
Okay,
Max.
sorry, just one thinking about it. I'll say, so there has to be a transition, a scene heading, and then at least like an action line or something. So is anything ever less than 1/8? Or I'm thinking if all of that's at least there, that's gotta be at least 1/8.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so there's nothing ever less than that.
No.
Okay.
Nope. And that's why screenplay format is screenplay. That's why I'm really hard when people are missing an action line in a scene. That's why I made fun of Aaron Sorkin when we saw Social Network, how he would miss action lines. He would just have a scene, he'd have this slug line, and then he'd have the character talk, the character, and then the dialogue. And it's like, where's your, not only is it not clear shot-wise, what are we seeing? It says interior classroom, but what are we seeing? All of a sudden, Joel just goes, blah, 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 blah. So we just have a voice, a head, or what is it? Place Joel in the scene. So let's give the shot. And then secondly, we need that spacing. We need the spacing of the, Bradley. It's better if you sit right behind, just in the second row. Take this and the pencil, and you'll have to catch up with